Breaking news. A major update has just come out of the NFL, and it's one every Chargers fan needs to hear. Rookie star Joe Alt has gone down with a high ankle sprain, and the big question is, how serious is it? How long will the Chargers be without one of their most important players on the field? Stay tuned, because this story is about to get very interesting. Now, before we dive deeper into the latest details, make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss breaking NFL updates right here. Alright, let's move on to the latest news. Here's what we know: doctors haven't given a full timeline yet, but early signs point to Alt being listed day-to-day very soon. That means it's not season-ending, but the Chargers will have to play it smart. Losing him, even for a short stretch, could shake things up in a big way. And while the Chargers' recent matchup against the Giants didn't end the way fans hoped, it did shine a light on some deeper issues that can't be ignored. The offensive line has struggled badly, giving up 26 hits in just the last 2 games, and close to 60 total pressures. That is a huge red flag. After the game, the frustration was obvious. Players weren't just disappointed, they were angry. And you can understand why. When your quarterback is constantly under fire, it changes everything about the offense. Now here's the bottom line: we all know this Chargers offense has talent. But if they can't protect their quarterback, it won't matter. This is the reality they need to face, and adjustments have to come fast. Let's take a closer look at the numbers, because the stats tell the real story. Right now, the Chargers' offense ranks 7th in the entire NFL, piling up more than 1,100 total yards. That's an average of 5.5 yards per play, which puts them 10th in the league. On paper, those are solid numbers. But the truth is, the offense still feels like it's leaving something on the table. Here's why: with Joe Alt out, the balance of this offense is at risk. Last week, the team went away from the run game, and it showed. Justin Herbert has been playing at a high level, no doubt about it. Coming into Week 3, he had a passer rating over 105. Even now, it's hovering around 100. But those 2 costly interceptions dragged him down, and both were freak plays. One ball popped into the air off a deflection, and the other was just a complete misfire of luck. The Giants took advantage, turning those turnovers into 11 points, and that's what really stings. It wasn't about being outplayed, it was about missed opportunities and breakdowns that gifted the opponent easy points. But here's the bigger picture: when you've got a young running back who rips off 128 yards on just 12 carries, why not lean on him more? 12 touches simply isn't enough. Yes, you want to protect your young talent, keep him healthy for the long haul, but sometimes you've got to trust the hot hand. The run game not only eases pressure on Herbert, it keeps defenses honest and opens up the passing attack. If the Chargers want to stay dangerous while Alt is sidelined, they'll need to commit to the ground game in a way they didn't last week. Because right now, the numbers say they're good, but the potential says they can be great. Averaging 10 yards per carry, just think about that for a second. That's dominance. That's efficiency. And the crazy part? He did it even while the offensive line was struggling. Justin Herbert was under pressure all game, but the run game still worked when they gave it a chance. That tells you everything you need to know. This is why the Chargers can't afford to abandon the ground attack. Even with Joe Alt injured and the line shuffled, there are ways to adjust. Instead of leaning so heavily on gap runs, where you depend on the best blockers creating space, you switch it up. Zone reads can take some of that pressure off, allowing the backs to read the defense and create openings on the fly. It's not about overworking a young player, but about using his momentum wisely. When Omarion Hamption is ripping off double-digit yards every time he touches the ball, you've got to feed him. 12 carries just isn't enough. Not when he's proving he can carry the load, even against tough fronts. This game showed us something important: the Chargers' running game isn't just a backup plan, it might actually be the key to stabilizing the offense while the O-line battles through injuries. And if they embrace that balance, it could completely change the outcome of games going forward. Now let's get to the real reason many of you are here, an update on Joe Alt. The sight of him being carted off the field had fans holding their breath. Thankfully, the initial X-rays came back negative, which is the first piece of good news. The official diagnosis is a high ankle sprain, and he's scheduled for an MRI to confirm the full extent of the damage. High ankle sprains can be tricky. They don't always follow the same recovery timeline, and it really depends on the grade of the injury. To put it simply, a grade 1 sprain usually takes 1 to 2 weeks. A grade 2 can keep a player out 4 to 6 weeks. And a grade 3? That's 6 to 8 weeks or longer, sometimes even requiring surgery. For quarterbacks, we've seen guys like Justin Herbert fight through them. But for an offensive lineman, it's a different story. In the trenches, every snap means heavy contact, tangled legs, and constant pressure on those ankles. It's not easy to push through that pain. From the way things looked, this doesn't appear to be the worst-case scenario. He was spotted in a walking boot, and while that's never a great sign, it didn't look like the devastating knee injury many feared at first. Realistically, Alt will likely miss at least a week, possibly more, depending on how the MRI results come back. The silver lining? There's hope that Mekhi Becton could return next week against the Commanders, which would give this offensive line some much-needed stability. But make no mistake, the Chargers are walking a fine line here. Losing Alt for any length of time changes everything up front. The struggles on the offensive line cannot be ignored, and losing Joe Alt only makes the situation more serious. His presence is vital, and without him, the weaknesses become even more obvious. Right now, only Bradley Bozeman and Zion Johnson are holding the fort as starters. And here's the tough reality, those two were among the least consistent linemen last season. That explains a lot about why Justin Herbert has looked so frustrated lately. This is why the return of Mekhi Becton is so important. If Becton can step back in soon, and Alt recovers quickly, the line might finally regain some balance. Without them, Herbert is fighting an uphill battle every single snap. Now, some fans are already writing this team off, saying the Chargers won't win a playoff game. But I don't buy that. The talent is there, the potential is real, it's just about weathering the storm. Young teams go through growing pains, and this past week was exactly that, a lesson. The game plan was clear: keep it quick, get the ball out of Herbert's hands fast, and protect both him and the rookie back from unnecessary hits. In theory, it made sense. But in practice, it revealed just how thin this offensive line really is when injuries strike. Still, let's not mistake setbacks for ceilings. This team can absolutely compete in the postseason, but only if they learn from weeks like this and adjust. Because in the NFL, surviving the hard stretches is what separates playoff contenders from pretenders. Here's the bottom line: the Chargers can't keep putting everything on Justin Herbert's shoulders. Yes, he's a franchise quarterback. Yes, he can make throws most players only dream about. But relying on him to be perfect on every drive is a recipe for disaster. The offense has to find balance, and that starts with running the football more consistently. The offensive line must rise to the challenge, no excuses. Protecting Herbert isn't optional, it's the difference between winning and losing. And right now, that group has to find a way to hold the line until the starters get healthy. What really stands out is the game plan from Week 4. Even without their left tackle, the Chargers threw the ball more than any other team in the NFL. That's right, no other offense leaned on the pass as heavily. And it showed. The Giants knew exactly what was coming: quick passes, short routes, no time for anything to develop deep. They sat on it, they adjusted, and they made the Chargers one-dimensional. It's not that the quick game doesn't work, it does. But when it becomes predictable, defenses feast. Without balance, without the run game to keep defenses honest, the Chargers end up exactly where they were last week, struggling to sustain drives and leaving Herbert exposed. So the message is clear: protect the quarterback, lean on the run, and stop being predictable. Because if the Chargers keep going down this same road, the results won't change. But if they adjust now, even without Joe Alt, this season can still be turned around. The Giants' defense came in with one mission: pressure Justin Herbert, and they succeeded. Herbert still delivered some sharp throws, but the constant heat made him uncomfortable, forcing the offense off rhythm. That's exactly what the Giants were counting on. This is why the Chargers need to adjust. The answer isn't abandoning the pass, but mixing it smarter. Run the ball more, bring in tight ends to help seal the edges, and don't be afraid to use max protection like we saw against the Chiefs in Week 1. That game plan worked, and it can work again. At the end of the day, protecting Herbert has to be priority number one. Because when he has time, he's unstoppable. When he doesn't, everything unravels. As for Joe Alt, my guess is he'll be sidelined 1 to 2 weeks. It didn't look as devastating as it first appeared, but we'll have to wait for official word. Until then, every fan should be hoping for the best, because his return could be the turning point this team desperately needs. So here's my question: what do you think? Can the Chargers weather this storm and come out stronger, or are these offensive line issues too big to overcome? Drop your thoughts below. I'd love to hear where you stand.